Today is June 23rd, 2020. So just a couple days after summer solstice, which is good because I'm going to need all the daylight I can get here with this sort of 48-hour adventure that I'm undertaking. My mission for the next couple days is to start on my mountain bike from Bountiful Peak and wind my way down the gravel road that is Farmington Canyon Road until it gets down into Farmington. And yeah, from there I plan to actually get an Uber to the Fernwood trailhead and then pick up the Great Western Trail. And once I make it back to my car here near Bountiful Peak, I will have completed the entirety of the Great Western Trail between Big Mountain Pass and Ogden, or Kaysville as the case may be. Yeah, I'm just really stitching together this trip and a trip that I did about a year ago, starting from Big Mountain Pass that wrapped up here. The weather forecast is looking pretty good. I'm a little uncertain of water sources once I get high up on the ridge above Kaysville. And then the condition of the trail is also a question mark between Fernwood and Francis Peak. So we'll see how I go on sort of a long loop with a two-legged shuttle assist with my mountain bike and Uber.
As a driving wheel, circling around your iron will. See only what you feel keeps you turning when you're standing still. You try to run trouble when it comes. You follow the drum, keeping time with everyone. As a light of day, falling down across your lost highway. Does it hurt this way to come so far to find they've closed the gates? You lost your tongue, you fall from the pendulum. Your heart is a drum, keeping time with everyone.
After about a mile and a half or so on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail out of the Fernwood Recreation trailhead down there. Yeah, it's nice to be back on the Great Western Trail here above Kaysville with a magnificent view overlooking the valley with the Great Salt Lake and Antelope Island and so forth. Just gonna try to get as high up as I can tonight, and if I'm lucky, even get to camp near some water. It's already 4:45, but yeah, that still means that I've got a good 4.5 hours of daylight. So we'll see how I go as I press on towards the ridge on my way to Thurston Peak and Francis Peak.
Just let it go.
Today is June 24th, and I am camped here off of the Great Western Trail, maybe 4 or 5 miles above the Fernwood trailhead There's a spring here and definitely a couple spots where people have camped before. I'm glad that I brought my bug net. It's not really mosquitoes or biting bugs that I can tell, but just those sort of like little annoying bugs that I didn't want buzzing up in my face. So yeah, was able to get in here before dark last night and enjoy a really mellow night. Slept real well, and yeah, gearing up to have a long day of hiking. It appears to be something like 16 and a half miles back to the car along some fairly rugged like ridgeline terrain until I get up to Francis Peak, where the big sort of observatory looking thing is located and where the gravel road will start. That'll connect me up to Skyline Drive and back to Bountiful Peak where I started yesterday. So with that, I'll keep an eye out for rattlesnakes along the way and enjoy some beautiful views and see how I go. As I get closer to the ridgeline and admire the view of Antelope Island and beyond, I'm getting a better picture of where the trail's going. As I've heard, it gets a bit faint up high here, but right by that snowbank there, I don't know if the camera picks it up very well, but I can see some switchbacks. And from what I can tell, it looks like I'll be able to avoid the snow just fine. I had considered bringing microspikes, but in the end did not end up bringing them. But it's nice to know that, at least it appears from here, that I'll be able to get around Mount Thurston without having to deal with hiking over snow. I was able to make it up and over that snowy patch and discovered that I was not actually on the Great Western Trail at that point. So indeed, the trail does get vague here. The good news is that I have managed to intersect what is apparently known as the Fernwood Trail. It's also quite faint, but I think I've got it here, and I'm right on top of it according to the Trailforks app on my phone. So I'm going to follow that and climb up another 400 feet and try to rejoin the Great Western Trail. Hopefully it'll be obvious enough, but yeah, I'll be keeping a closer watch on the Trailforks app as I continue forward, heading south towards Francis Peak. Now that I'm reunited with the Great Western Trail by way of the Fernwood Trail, I can see where the Great Western Trail angled up into the sort of bowl here. And there maybe would have been a way to angle up between the north-facing cornices that are still melting off here. But maybe not. It seems rather steep, and yeah, the cornices definitely present an extra obstacle, especially since I do not have microspikes. See, it's just as well that I sort of found accidentally an alternate route. I'm back on the Great Western Trail and roughly 4 miles from where the Francis Peak Road begins. Today is Thursday, July 25th. And since I'm still on my way back to the car, that means I didn't quite make it back to the car last night. I covered about 15 miles with some route finding and some cross country required when I had to deviate around some snow cornices that were still melting off on some of the northerly facing slopes. And was able to pitch my tent close to where the Bountiful Peak campground is. And from here I've only got about 3.5 miles to go. And I got a nice early start so I can make it back to work later today. So with that, I'm just going to continue up Skyline Drive here till I get back to my car. And it's definitely a nice sense of satisfaction to have completed the Great Western Trail section between Big Mountain Pass and Kaysville, some 30 miles plus. All under human power. Look forward to building on that long-term project of hiking the Utah portion of the Great Western Trail in sections. And with that, I'll say so long for now. See you next time.
Your eyes can stumble the rays of the sinking sun. You follow the drum, keeping time with everyone. And beat, 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 it's beating me down. Beat, 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 it's beating me down.